The phone. This little device, my friends, ladies and gentlemen, can make you tons of money. The only problem is many of you don't pick it up because you say it doesn't work. You say it's too heavy. You say the phone ain't good. You say it's outdated. But I'm telling you, this iPhone is my money-making machine, and I'm going to talk to you in this episode with my great friend, Miss Rachel Pitts, and she's going to tell you why this is a bank. This is a lot of money right here. And I'm not just talking about the physical cost of the phone. There's money in this here phone. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist. And I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, we have a phenomenal guest. Her name is Rachel Pitts, and Rachel comes with some amazing wisdom. Rachel and I were at a Sales Gravy Outbound conference, and I got a chance to meet with her and her co-host of the podcast that she runs, Woman Your Mother Warned You About, and it's a fun podcast, so I encourage you to check it out. But I got a chance to meet Rachel there and her co-host Gina, and one of the things that we talked about was having them come on the show, and I mentioned the concept of speaking about sales engagement and how we're going to be going into that arena, and they were super on board. Now, Rachel loved the idea of a phone, and she talked about how she grew her business and was successful in that, and that's what we decided to focus on. Now, she's also a consultant a coach with Sales Gravy, and they help many different sellers all across the world. Rachel is going to share some of the things that she utilized in her coaching to help people, especially as we're going into 2022 when it comes to picking up the phone. Hope this stuff helps you. If this is your first time listening to one of our episodes, I encourage you to go ahead and hit subscribe, whether you're watching it on YouTube or you're listening to the audio on Apple or Spotify or Google. Please subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a rating and review. It goes a long way.
People are afraid of the phone because, number one, they think that nobody answers their phone, which in today's day and age, in 2021, when this podcast is being recorded, we're coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic where people were isolated for very long stretches of time, and they just got lonely and felt very just trapped. And so the phone is something that really can create connection. And so people are answering their phone. They really, really are. I think the second thing people are afraid of is that they're afraid they'll get on the phone and they're bothering people and it's gonna feel icky, and they don't wanna be a pain, and they don't wanna interrupt people. But as a salesperson, you are actually a professional interrupter. That's something that we teach at Sales Gravy University, is that you should interrupt people. And you just have to know how to interrupt them in a way that's efficient and that will engage them instead of piss them off.
But the first one, Rachel, is actually, it's quite obvious. I have in my little computer here, probably close to, over the years, 10,000 contacts, some ridiculous number. I need to delete people. But I keep transferring them over and over and over. You mentioned the first place to start is with this and with those contacts. Talk to me about that.
Right. So we think sometimes, I remember being in real estate and thinking, where's my next lead coming from? And the truth is that if you've got 10,000 people in your phone, you've got 10,000 people to call. And there was a time period where I shifted out of real estate for a while and did a fitness business, and then I shifted back into real estate. And when I shifted back into real estate, this is the first thing I did. And I coach all new realtors with this as well, because they're all looking at paying for leads and all this stuff. And I'm like, look, you don't need to pay for leads. You need to pick up your phone and just start calling everyone in your phone. And it's as simple as this. Hey, Mary, it's Rachel Pitts. I'm calling from XYZ Real Estate Company, and the reason for my call is to ask you if you know of anybody who has mentioned buying or selling property, because I just got back into real estate and I know that you're really well connected.
The next thing you mentioned is voicemail, because a lot of people now we're going into 2022 and people are saying, well, Donald, should I even leave a voicemail these days? And if I do, what should I say? Are people even going to check it? Is it just going to be my grandma that's going to check her voicemail? What are some of your thoughts on?
if you call, now some people think you should never leave a voicemail, but if you don't leave a voicemail, you have 100% chance that they will not call you back because they don't know who called, or they'll just see your number. And I don't call back somebody that calls and doesn't leave a message. I don't just call a random number, like, nope. So when you leave a voicemail, you want to be very clear and very concise. And what we teach at Sales Gravy is to do your voicemail just like this. Hi, Dawn. It's Rachel Pitts with Sales Gravy. And the reason for my call is to get some time on your calendar to talk to you about Sales Gravy University, because I've heard that you and your company are looking to improve your sales skills. So give me a call back, 843-424-0995. That's 843-424-0995. Again, it's Rachel Pitts, Sales Gravy University, 843-424-0995. Once more again, 843-424-0995. And it sounds really crazy to leave your number 4 times, but I do it for every voicemail.
Well, number 3 is get to the point. You're disrupting their day. Like, because that's what I first thought when I was selling. Like, oh crap, I'm going to call this person, interrupt their day. You said I'm a professional interrupter. But talk to me about that. How do I connect and interrupt their day without being a pest or without being seen as annoying?
Well, have you ever gotten one of those phone calls from a salesperson that's like, hey, Don, how are you? And you know that you don't know who this person is. And you're like, you don't care how I am. And frankly, I'm pissed that you called and interrupt me to ask me how I am. I'm frustrated. I'm having a terrible day. This is going wrong. This is going wrong. This and this and that. And now here you are.
Oh, dude.
So it's important as a professional to be professional and use the person's name and get to the point. And that's why that phrase of the reason for my call is X. Like, people like to have a reason. Why are you calling me? Do I care? So the reason for my call is this. And because there's a reason, there's a because. I mean, if I'm calling you up, Don, I'm calling you up for a specific, there's a reason that you're on my list, whether it's a cold call or a warm call. And people, if you give them a reason and then some information to back up that reason, then they're more likely to engage, especially if you're just very efficient with that statement. No, just be real. And I mean, you're going to get objections and you are going to feel rejection. Mm-hmm. An objection is not rejection. It's just someone who doesn't need your service at this time, or you caught them at the wrong time. And so as long as you're professional about it, they will likely in turn be professional back to you, even if they're not interested at this time.
So I jumped onto the last one here was make sure you schedule the next call. Talk to me about that there. How do I go about doing that? You're already trying to get off the phone with me. How can I effectively schedule a call with you without seem like I'm pushing you?
Well, you have to ask. You have to ask and make that the mission of your call. If they say, I'm really busy right now, then you could say, great, I knew that you would be. Let's schedule a time. And make sure that you have a time to offer them. Like, if you say, hey, let's, can I call you next week? They're going to be like, yeah. But you need to have a time to offer them, or 2 times. So it's a very quick conversation for somebody if you say, hey, I know that you're busy. I totally understand. Can we schedule a quick 20-minute call or 10-minute call on Friday at 2 p.m. or Monday at 9 a.m.? If you give them specific options, then they're more likely to open up their calendar really quick and give you one of those. If they're not, make sure that you have their email information. You can send them your calendar link as a follow-up. It's always a good idea to send a follow-up email after you speak to them anyways. But definitely push to get what we call a micro commitment, which is that next phone call. Even if you accomplished nothing in the phone call aside from setting that appointment, it's very, very important to set that next step.
If people out there listening to this, they want to get in touch with you, they want to connect with you, what's the best way for them to go about doing so?
Well, you can find me on social media at UltraFit Lifestyle. That's my fitness page. You can find me at The Singing Lender on all social media as well. And you can find me directly, Rachel at salesgravy.com.
That was Rachel Pitts, and I encourage you to go ahead and connect with her if you haven't done so already. I know you've been listening to this episode and you're probably scrolling in the show notes. Check out the podcast that she co-hosts with her friend Gina. Check out Sales Gravy and some of the cool things they're doing. And also, just connect with Rachel and tell her you heard her on this podcast. I know she'll be super appreciative of that. Speaking about connecting, check out our sponsors. I know they're giving us some amazing deals, and I know you've been thinking about it, but you haven't done so already. Just go ahead and try it. Check them out and tell them that Donald T. Kelly sent you. It will help you tremendously. Super thankful for you. Super thankful for our guests. Big shout out to Rachel and the team. As always, I want you to thrive and to succeed. I want you to find more of those ideal customers. I want you to know what to say when you reach out to them. I want you to know how to close more deals. But most importantly, I want you to raise your level of thinking and go out and do big things.